Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors, history lovers, and everyone fascinated with rare treasures hiding in plain sight. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Lincoln 1-cent wheat pennies, and the spotlight is shining on a coin that many people may still have tucked away in old jars, family collections, or forgotten drawers. The 1946 D-Mint Mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, this coin looks like any other penny you've handled thousands of times in your life. But as we'll soon uncover, the story of this little copper piece is richer than you can imagine. It carries with it history, wartime connections, minting mysteries, collector intrigue, and of course, astonishing value when found in the right condition. Sit back and join me on this fascinating journey because by the end, you may start checking your change jar with new eyes. Let's begin by stepping back into the year 1946. America was just emerging from World War II, a conflict that had shaken the nation and the entire world. The war had ended in 1945, and with victory came both celebration and rebuilding. Soldiers were coming home, industries were shifting back from wartime production to civilian life, and families were adjusting to a new chapter in American history. Money, as always, was at the center of this transition. Every penny counted, literally. During the war years, coinage had undergone major changes. In 1943, for example, pennies were famously struck in steel coated with zinc instead of copper. This was because copper was a vital resource needed for bullets, shells, and wiring in the war effort. That single year of steel cents remains one of the most talked about topics in American numismatics. By 1944, however, the mint returned to using copper, but much of it came from recycled shell casings collected after the war. So when we arrive at 1946, the penny being struck at the Denver Mint carry not only copper, but a symbolic sense of America's resilience and resourcefulness. Now, the 1946 D-Wheat penny comes from the Denver Mint, which is identified by the tiny D mint mark just below the date on the obverse side of the coin, right beneath Abraham Lincoln's portrait. The wheat penny design itself had been in circulation since 1909, when it was first introduced to celebrate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Victor David Brenner designed this iconic coin, giving the United States its first circulating coin to feature a real person, rather than allegorical figures like Liberty. The obverse, of course, shows the familiar profile of Lincoln, while the reverse displays two wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. The wheat ears were chosen to represent prosperity and growth, and this reverse design was used until 1958. By 1946, the wheat penny had already become a staple of everyday American life. But what makes the 1946 D-Mint Mark penny so intriguing is not just its historical context, it's the range of varieties, errors, and conditions that elevate its value far beyond 1 cent. Let's talk about production numbers first. The Denver Mint produced over 315 million of these pennies in 1946. That sounds like an enormous number, and indeed, many examples are still around today. You might think that a coin with such a high mintage couldn't possibly be rare or valuable. But here's the truth: rarity is not always about the number produced, but about how many survive in pristine, high-grade condition. Most 1946 D pennies spent decades circulating in pockets, purses, vending machines, and cash registers. They picked up scratches, nicks, and wear along the way. Finding one that still looks like it just left the mint, a condition collectors call mint state, is the real challenge. Coins that survived with their original luster intact are the ones that command extraordinary prices. Now let's explore some of the features collectors look for when examining a 1946 D-Wheat penny. First and foremost is condition. A heavily worn example, even though old, might only be worth a few cents above face value. But as the condition improves, the value rises significantly. A coin graded in the middle range, something like very fine or extremely fine, could be worth $1 or $2. Move up to uncirculated condition, where the coin has never been used in everyday transactions, and the value grows even higher. But the real stars are those rare coins that grade at the very top of the mint state scale, MS65, MS66, MS67, and above. These coins display crisp details, blazing original color, and minimal marks from handling. Collectors are willing to pay serious money for these gems because they represent the best of the best, surviving examples from 1946 that defied the odds. Another factor that makes the 1946 wheat penny so fascinating is the presence of mint errors and varieties. During the striking process, mistakes sometimes occurred. Double dies, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes are all examples of errors that collectors crave. Imagine finding a penny where the D mint mark was punched more than once, leaving a visible doubling under magnification. Such a variety turns an ordinary coin into a conversation piece and greatly boosts its value. The 1946 D also has some well-known examples of repunched mint marks, where the Denver D was impressed slightly off, then corrected. These small quirks may not be visible to the naked eye, but under a loupe or microscope, they reveal themselves, and collectors go wild for them. Let's also not forget the role of toning and color in the value of these coins. Copper reacts over time with the environment, leading to shades ranging from deep brown to bright red. Collectors prize red examples, meaning the coin has retained most of its original fiery copper color from the day it was minted. Red-brown and brown coins are more common but still collectible. The more brilliant red a 1946 penny is, the more desirable it becomes. So how does all this translate into actual worth? Well, the market for Lincoln wheat pennies is incredibly active. Collectors young and old seek to complete sets, and the 1946 plays an important role as part of the post-war series. Prices vary widely depending on condition and rarity of errors, but the top-graded examples have stunned the collecting world at auction. Stories of people discovering an old wheat penny in a coin roll, only to later find out it's worth thousands, are not myths. They happen more often than you'd think. Roll hunting, as collectors call it, remains a popular hobby today. And with millions of wheat pennies still floating around in circulation or sitting forgotten in jars, the chance of stumbling upon a valuable piece remains very real. Another fascinating aspect is the sentimental value attached to wheat pennies like the 1946 D. For many Americans, these coins were the first they ever collected as children. Grandparents often passed them down in little envelopes, boxes, or coffee cans. That personal history adds a charm that goes beyond monetary worth. A 1946 penny doesn't just represent copper, it represents stories, family ties, and a tangible connection to the past. As with any collectible, knowledge is power. If you happen to come across a 1946 penny, the first step is to handle it carefully. Avoid cleaning it, as cleaning actually damages coins and reduces their value. Instead, place it in a protective holder and consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. A professional grade not only authenticates the coin but also provides collectors confidence in its condition, which directly affects value. Now, let's imagine you've got one of these gems in hand. You're holding a coin that has survived nearly 80 years of history, through decades of change, and still carries the portrait of one of America's greatest presidents. It's small in size, but immense in significance. Think about it. This penny was minted in Denver at a time when America was adjusting to peace after years of global conflict. Families were saving coins like these to buy homes, cars, and basic necessities. Kids were flipping pennies on sidewalks, and servicemen were tucking them into their pockets as good luck charms. To hold one today is to hold a piece of living history. And then, of course, there's the excitement of knowing that such a coin, in the right condition, could be worth an amount that surprises even seasoned collectors. After all the talk of history, minting details, varieties, errors, and collector passion, we arrive at the moment that everyone has been waiting for. Just how much can one of these 1946 Lincoln wheat pennies be worth in the most exceptional state of preservation? The answer may astonish you. At the highest levels of quality, a single example of the 1946 Lincoln wheat penny has been valued at $30,008. So, the next time you stumble upon an old penny, don't dismiss it as pocket change. Take a closer look. You might just be holding a coin that carries not only a story of America's past but also a hidden fortune waiting to be discovered.